third of the NBA teams are in states in the country that have either relaxed the regulations or are intending to do so. Leaving aside the safety issue, just from a fairness and competitive issue, do you think this is fair that some people can use their practice facilities and some people can't?
Probably not. By definition, it's not equal. And so I guess you could say it's not fair. And part of me says, Tone, you know, that's what we got right now. Everything's not going to be equal. It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be spread out in the same way, equitably. And you may say it's not fair. And yet I would say, okay, the people who have this at their fingertips can use it. And those who can't, God bless. And we don't know when you'll be able to do it. And we'll welcome you when we can. Because, Tony, if you're going to say, okay, everybody has to start at the same place, then I think you're automatically sort of saying, well, we're thinking we're not going to have a season here. I mean, you look at, I just said to you before we went on the air, it's like you and I live in two different worlds right now, being me in Arizona and you in the Northeast, and you're not even in the worst part of the Northeast in terms of the part hardest hit. So I don't know what you do. What do you do about Brooklyn, which is in New York City, which has been the hardest hit place in America as far as my reading tells me? What do? Do you give up on the season? Do you say, okay, until Brooklyn can participate, nobody else can? How would you handle that?
Okay, so just to clarify, although I live in the Northeast, I'm actually in Washington, D.C., and it's okay to say so. I'm happy to be here, although it seems more fun in Arizona at the moment. Look, you and I have a sincere disagreement on this. I don't care when they start, and I'm going to take some time now. I don't care when they start, and I don't care if they start. But I don't believe that some people should be allowed to practice and others are not allowed to practice. I think the NBA has to come up with a fairness policy. For example, states like Texas, states like Georgia, states like Minnesota, they have relaxed regulations, whereas New York, Massachusetts, they do not. I don't think it's fair that Luka Doncic can go into a gym and shoot and Kemba Walker cannot.
Right.
I mean, I understand that the NBA prides itself on being kinder and smarter and more global and more caring. But this, to me, this is a strict fairness issue. You either go with the science or you don't. You either let some people in or you let all people in, or you don't let any people in. I guess the disagreement, Mike, is that I'm not certain that if you hold everybody out for the same amount of time, that means no playoffs. Put together something where everybody gets a shot at the gym, and I'm good with that.
Remember, I'm saying to you, it ain't fair, okay? Everything ain't fair in life.
Right.
It isn't.
Right.
I agree. So we don't have any disagreement on whether this is equitable. We don't. But I don't know what you do about that. Are you also going to say that, okay, so there's quite a few states still with shelter in place. Are you going to say that the players who live in states that don't have shelter in place can't work out individually? They can't do things that their states allow them to do, which would give them an advantage if the season's reopened, Tone. I don't know that you can do that.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the NBA, like all sports, has 20 plans in place because it's irresponsible not to. Because when you're ready to go, you got to be ready to go. And I'm saying one of those plans should be to move the players so that they can also work out. I just think competitively you have to do that, but that is our disagreement, yes.
It's going to be difficult. It's going to be complex and layered, and I hope not contentious. We don't need that now. Tony, let's move to Cam Newton, a name we haven't mentioned in maybe a week or so. The New England Patriots are now betting favorites. You can bet on anything in Vegas to sign Cam Newton. However, the Patriots have reportedly shown zero interest in signing Cam Newton. Do you think they should?
First of all, I love the fact, as you suggest, that you can get odds on where Cam Newton is going. Who makes the odds on this stuff? I'd like to meet that particular person. Cam Newton, I really like Cam Newton. He's an accomplished, strong, wonderful athlete. But I think you have to, at some point, ask yourself, is it possible that the New England Patriots like Jarrett Stidham? You know, Devin McCourty the other day said, we play against him in practice all the time. He's really good. We really like him. The New England Patriots did not draft a quarterback. Neither Belichick nor his dog drafted a quarterback, which leads me to conclude, Mike, that they actually like this guy, and they like him more than Cam Newton. I can't get angry at that. Can you?
No, and we don't even know if Cam Newton's healthy enough to play. Let's start there. I mean, talk about Tua, and what we know about Tua, and we don't know about Cam Newton. He had two different injuries. We don't know about either of them, the shoulder or the foot. We have no idea. But, Tony, even if we had an idea, even if we thought Cam Newton was going to walk out and the next time on the field be 85, 90% of Cam Newton, these are the New England Patriots we're talking about. I know you and I and many like us of our ilk, people of our ilk, we like to go on TV and radio and in the newspaper and tell teams what they should do. There's one team that I'm not even going to try to tell what to do. And it's the New England Patriots.
Right.
What are we talking about?
That's right.
Should they be interested? Because the odds in Vegas say they should. Whatever Bill Belichick and his crew, his posse, think they should do, that's fine with me until we are proven otherwise.
I'll give you one team because I thought about this a little bit. And it depends on Cam Newton and his ego and what he's willing to do. And if he's willing to sit for a year. I would love to see him in Pittsburgh, backing up Ben Roethlisberger, who is coming back from injury. They're both massive guys. They play in the same way. I think Tomlin and Cam Newton could be a year of rehabilitation in some ways, and it could be very good. I just think that would be fun to see him there. But I don't know what the odds are. I'm not putting any money down. But I'm moving on to the next story. Here we go. This is your boy, Isaiah Thomas. This story makes me smile from ear to ear.
I know
Isaiah Thomas, who will talk to anybody about Michael Jordan, is now talking to CBS Sports, and he said two things. He said, first of all, the Bulls were great in the 90s, but Jordan's team didn't beat the great teams of the 80s, Magic's Lakers, Bird's Celtics, and Isaiah Thomas's Pistons. And then he was asked to rank top 5 players he's seen and played against, and he went this way. He went Kareem 1, Bird 2, Magic 3, then MJ. Fair or foul?
Well, Tony, you certainly rank one of those people ahead of Michael if you were going to start a team, Magic Johnson. And you've never heard me even disagree with you on that, even though I would say Magic. Who's going to, we're not going to go crazy over those guys, are we? I mean, let me just say, I talked to Isaiah Thomas last night, and I'm not going to talk on the air about most of what we talked about. Because, well, yes, we are right now because I'm going to divulge a little bit. I said to him, don't tell me that these new athletes who are supposed to be new and improved could dominate the 80s and the 90s because they couldn't. So we're going to fight about that. And this was a good-natured conversation for a while, Tony, because they wouldn't. Because I don't care if they're better athletes, and I'm not sure they are. And I told Isaiah, none of those guys are better athletes than he was 30 years ago. They're not. Okay? And they wouldn't beat the Pistons, and they wouldn't beat the Celtics or the Bulls in the 90s either. So I don't want to hear that. We got into that. But, Tony, the guys he mentioned, Kareem, Bird, and Magic, well, you and I, we're going to fight with Isaiah on that? No, we're not. And Michael Jordan, Michael, who has always said to me in an interview, he said, I'm not going to say I'm better than Russell. I'm not going to say I'm better than Kareem. I'm not going to say I'm better than Larry and Magic. There's no even real huge disagreement there, even though I would not rank Michael fourth, and neither would you.
I love the phrase to throw shade, which is what Isaiah Thomas is doing every single day that he can now. Isaiah Thomas, who has been irrelevant for about 6 to 10 years, has risen from the crypt to take slice upon slice out of Michael Jordan. I might rate Magic number 1.
Right.
But Magic and Bird rate Jordan number 1. Yeah. They have both said that Michael Jordan is the best. This is about the dream team. This is about Isaiah being angry about not being on the dream team, which, as you know, he should have been. He was no worse than the 4th or 5th best player who would have been on that dream team. That was bad. His coach, Chuck Daly, didn't fight hard enough. His best friend, Magic Johnson, didn't fight hard enough, and he's going to blame Michael Jordan, and that may be very fair. Michael Jordan, for all I know, kept him off, and Michael Jordan won. But I will say this.
He didn't keep him off.
Since Russell, you tell me who's 6-0 in playoff championships. Michael Jordan is. So
just one.
He's it.
Yeah,
he's it.
No, he's it. Tony, look, we can do this every day. We could do this every day. You know what? We could talk about, we can go back and revisit
I hope
it.
so.
And I can tell. I mean, because you were actually going to games and staying awake back then, weren't you? You were watching some of that stuff in person. How about that? What a trip back in the time machine.
Well,
that
I
is.
love this. I love this, Mike, because it's Chicago on Chicago crime. It can't be any better for me. I love this.
You know, I'm not really conflicted about saying Jordan is the greatest because you know I feel that way. Some of it's conflicting. I mean, I've known Isaiah Thomas since he was 13, and he was scoring 45 on my brother, St. Joe's against St. Ignatius. When I talked to him yesterday, he just goes, Michael Wilbon, St. Ignatius College Prep. We started laughing. And in that moment, I'm not going to hate anybody. But Tony, this conversation, the one was better yesterday about whether or not those guys, including LeBron and Kevin Durant, would dominate the 80s and 90s, and that's where I take exception with Isaiah. I disagree with him wholeheartedly. They're not dominating anything. Not dominating. They might win something.
No.
I guess we have to move on, even though we don't want to. Longtime PGA Tour pro Pat Perez, who's here in Arizona, Tony, told ESPN's Bob Herrick that he hopes they do the equivalent of a last dance with Tiger Woods. Tony, how would you compare and contrast Michael and Eldrick?
First of all, I would like to say that Pat Perez's hair is fantastic. I wish I had Pat Perez's hair. Look, I would love to see a documentary about Tiger Woods. How would I compare and contrast them? They both are killers out there for whom winning matters more than anything else by a landslide margin. And the tip-off in Tiger was this. A long time ago, Tiger started talking about winning majors because he knew he wasn't chasing Sam Snead. He was chasing Jack Nicklaus because Jack Nicklaus is the best golfer that ever lived, and Tiger wanted a piece of that. I don't think Tiger was as confrontational specifically to opponents as Michael Jordan has been. But I believe he was every bit as intimidating as Michael Jordan was. And you know, I'd love to see it. There's one big difference, though, Mike. I mean, Tiger, if you do a documentary, Tiger has the public shaming that Michael Jordan never had. He has the scandal. He has the divorce. He has the appearance of dependence